I get it. Working for a toxic boss can be a living nightmare. I mean, the kind of boss that belittles you, that micromanages you, that never gives you credit for the work that you do, who sometimes even steals the credit that you work, for the work that you've done. I mean, these kind of working relationships with these kind of bosses, they can take a serious toll on your emotional well-being. I mean, they can even lead to physical health issues. And it's probably the number one reason why clients will come to me if they're still in their job and they're looking for a new job. So it's not like they've been laid off or something, but rather they're working, but they want to get out of that situation fast. It's one of the biggest reasons out there. Not salary, it's because they need to leave a person. And this is not uncommon. I mean, John Maxwell in his book, Leadership Gold, he talks about how employees, how people, they quit people. They don't quit companies, they quit people. They're trying to escape from a certain person, and usually that person is the boss. They want to get out of there as soon as possible. The unfortunate thing is that sometimes they're just a little bit too late. And that kind of brings me up to, the reason why I wanted to do this video is I recently talked with a friend of mine who is currently on a leave, had a mental breakdown at work and is on leave right now because of the working environment, specifically working for a micromanager. She's one of 3 people that I've had coaching conversations with in the last, I would say, 6 months. And to me, that's way too much. There's a lot of research out there on ways to work with a micromanager. I mean, 10 tips doing this, 10 tips doing that, 7 tips, 8 tips. And as I read through them, I realized that when I've talked to these individuals, I've asked them a lot of these questions, and they'll say, "Bill, I've already done that." And so what I wanted to do was just kind of approach this a little bit differently. More like, what, I get it, I understand what you're going through. And man, I emphasize with you because no one wants to work under these kind of conditions. So who are these bosses? Well, number one, they're the bosses that just simply won't listen to you. I mean, they want to do it their way or the highway. They're not interested in any new approaches, new ideas. I think a lot of this has to do with probably just, feeling inadequate themselves, fearful of losing their own jobs. They're insecure. That doesn't help you any, except for maybe, at least giving you a little peace of mind that it's not about you. And that's something, by the way, is really important. I want you to understand this is not about you. So, not listening is number one. Micromanaging, boy, that's a big one out there. I mean, just about every one of these toxic bosses are also known as a micromanager. Even when you've proven your ability to work independently and produce quality output, they still need to control everything. And again, I think it goes back to this whole feeling of insecurity. I've been fortunate. I have not had to ever work under a micromanager, but as a manager, I've looked across other departments and I saw this happening with several managers out there. Another thing they don't do is they don't foster growth, and this is a big thing, and also what I've seen across departments that have had micromanagers in them. They don't want anybody to really get better than them. The work that they keep you doing is the same thing day in and day out. And you just get incredibly frustrated, incredibly bored with this. I understand it. I mean, and that was something that I have always, believed in, is that I always wanted to hire individuals that were smarter than me. I wanted them to be smarter than me, and I wanted them to get promotions. I would want any one of them to be able to step into my position. But for, a lot of these toxic bosses out there, they just have so much insecurity about somebody taking over their job. And I think one of the biggest things out there is they're two-faced. And this is another reason why it's kind of hard for not only, say, another manager like myself or my boss to go up and approach their boss, but a lot of them are two-faced in the sense that they put on a completely different act in front of their managers. So if you're to go to their manager and complain, that's not what their manager is seeing. And it's, kind of difficult to get the support out there. And if you've watched some of my videos in the past, I'm not a big fan of HR departments, because you got to realize that HR is not working for you, they're working for the company. So, they are working for the company because they want to make sure that that company is not going to be facing any kind of lawsuits or anything like that. And finally, they often have just simply unreasonable expectations. I mean, they want you to do something at the drop of the hat. They want you to be available, 24/7. They give you unrealistic deadlines. I know I'm not preaching to the choir here. I'm simply trying to explain that as a career coach, I totally understand what you're dealing with. So what can you do about this? I mean, there's a lot of canned responses out there, like, well, you have to communicate with your micromanager or your toxic boss. But there is one thing, and that is you might want to try the feedback at some point. If you can simply sit down with the individual and, have these boundaries set, and just, if you feel, secure enough in doing this, and again, I mean, a toxic boss may be a narcissist, and they may not be listening to this feedback, or they may simply be individuals that make you feel insecure about giving this feedback, both of which are wrong, because it should be, open communications with individuals that you're working for. But if you feel that maybe there is a chance there, you can give them some feedback. Possibly they don't know what it is that they're doing. One thing I think is very, very important is you have to document everything. Every conversation that you have with them and their expectations, document their expectations, because if they come up to you later and they question the way you did something, but you have the documentation that explains in black and white detail what it was that these individuals were asking for, that's going to stand up for you. And also, if it's the unfortunate thing where it's you against the HR department or you against the company, then you have your documentation available. I mean, that's something that I think a lot of individuals, they fail to do out there, is simply document day and time and, the situation at hand. But it can be very helpful. I think it's really important to make some connections, both internally and externally. And this is where, networking really comes into play. But get out there and make these connections with others in the company, because these can be people that you're looking for as mentoring and can help you through this. But the one key element that I would really highly suggest, and that is this is something: don't badmouth your boss, no matter what the circumstances is. But get out there and start making some connections inside and outside the company. Look for some people that can mentor. Another thing that you need to do is cultivate your self-care, because nobody else is going to do this for you. So what I mean by that is just simply taking care of yourself, making sure that you get some exercise in, you're meditating, you're journaling, whatever it needs to be, but cultivate that self-care. And the final thing that I want to talk about is ask for help. I mean, don't be ashamed for asking for help. If you feel that you are on the verge of having a mental breakdown, then talk to your doctor about this. See if you can get a referral to a therapist. A lot of times, you can do this at very minimal cost, through your company's healthcare system. But you need to take care of yourself. You need to do this first, because you have to be the one that takes care of other people, right? So make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And then finally, and I think this is the most important thing, is, if none of these are working for you, get the hell out of there. So if quitting is absolutely not an option and you just don't know what to do next, I do have a free masterclass. It's on my website. I'll put a link to it in the notes section below. Goes about an hour and 20 minutes long. It's going to cover the resume, LinkedIn, interviewing. I mean, at least that's going to give you a jump start to start applying for new positions out there. And hopefully that will help you land a lot faster than just simply struggling without knowing what the next move will be. So thanks for stopping by. Again, if this is something that you're suffering with, I really feel bad for you. Nobody needs to be working for a toxic boss. I hope you found this video informative and useful, and make sure that you subscribe to this channel, hit that bell notification. I do upload new career tips and strategies every Tuesday. Thanks for stopping by. Good luck to you.